Hello everybody and welcome back to Calling Survival. Now since the last video I've finished doing the crenellations, bringing them down slightly further so they look, I feel, a lot more imposing, although I feel like I should probably add some sort of detailing to them along the centre, possibly add something more to them because they seem a bit kind of thick now, but that's sort of what I wanted them to be anyway, so I'm still undecided on them basically, but bringing the crenellations down this far does mean I'm going to eventually have to bring down the gate slightly, probably round that out a little more. Which should look fine, really. Probably make it look more portcullis-y, because currently it's kind of triangular, which is kind of the downside of having a voxel-based system. But ignoring what you can see in front of you for a second, I've also finished fleshing out the towers. In fact, I'll go and show you the other tower. This one's fully fleshed out and has all the windows and everything, as you can see from the front, and the insides are done with all of the staircases, and it's the same on both of the backside ones so far. So yeah, all of these are fleshed out and they'll have the quivers in place for the archers when I put those in. I'm not sure how effective these back ones are going to be because I'm not sure how many zombies actually come from all the way out here. But, you know, they're there in case. Before we do that, I'm going to make sure the front gate is like fully fleshed out before I put any archers in here to make sure the town doesn't die immediately in setting up the castle. But inside I've also started this sort of main pathway. This side stuff over here might change as I go, so that's not really important. But this is the main keep building that I've been sort of planning out. Now it looks kind of squished, which I also agree with, but equally this thing is going to go up and probably go above the height of the walls slightly. At least the roof will, if not some portion of the keep itself will go above the walls. And I kind of want that to be the case because as you're running like through the town to get to this thing looks fucking monstrous. Like it is just this giant fucking stone structure that just rises out of the water. It looks great running over here and looks really impressive. So I feel like the keep building, the main thing that like the king and queen or whatever are gonna supposedly live in, should be even bigger than the walls itself and look even more impressive. Sort of more extravagant, I suppose. So that's gonna go up a few floors at the very least. Like I've planned out at least 3 that I want to put in. So I'm going to be working on that in this video. But yeah, the last video was sped up a lot more and a lot more quick time-lapsey style things just to get through it because we spent like 2 episodes building the fucking walls. So I thought it was best to speed through and get that done and out of the way so now I can actually concentrate on building the internal parts of the castle. Now the internal crenellations I feel like I'm probably going to leave as they are because I feel like the inside should look a lot more presentable and more sort of beautiful, I suppose, and sort of pretty in that sense, to look more sort of matching up with that royal status thing. And then the outside looks a lot more sort of brutalist and imposing, kind of almost Harrenhal, not quite that bad, I suppose, because that place is supposed to be like freaking huge in the books. But anyway, I will be right with you with a very quick time-lapse, hopefully, of through this main keep building, at least the first couple floors anyway. So I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you, past me. Yeah, we're going to build the entire main keep building in this video. I didn't actually intend to build the entire thing in one sitting, but I did, and it turned out to take an entire hour to build, which I do believe is probably less time than it took to build up the walls, and it was a hell of a lot less monotonous than building up the walls. Because, as you guys probably experienced in those 2 videos, well, 3 actually, for the entirety of the main castle building itself being built up, it took kind of a while to do just because of the sheer size of it. And the keep was, as you could have told by the sort of layout I put down originally of how big I wanted the building to be, a hell of a lot smaller, but also this building is probably an extra segment of crenellations higher than the actual castle itself, is what it actually turned into in the very end. Anyway, I decided for this building that there'd be 2 staircases for the entire thing, which are situated at the front end of it, because as I mentioned in the sort of little bit before this, I wanted to build 3 floors for this. And the 3 floors were the sort of main Great Hall area, which is what you enter as soon as you come into this keep building, which I've just built the walls for up, I can see in the video, and I'm building the staircases up right now. Now the main keep, the main hall building where the sort of dining situation would be and the throne and stuff, is probably the highest floor. I do believe it is the highest floor within the castle itself. And the reason for that obviously is it's supposed to be the most impressive room in the castle. It's the one that obviously all the guests come into and see first. Actually decorating it though was a bit of an issue, because obviously everything is blocked in this game, right? It's a voxel based system. There isn't a whole lot of unique assets and stuff yet. Like, the primary thing that you have in the game is beds. That's the main customization-y thing that isn't just a block, other than like torches and a quiver, I suppose. But there's no like tables or chairs or anything, which kind of makes sense because you don't actually need any of those things in the game currently to play it normally and just have a surviving colony. You don't need tables and chairs, you just need the sort of bare basics of a bed and the rest of the system. But actually decorating it was an issue because of that. I think I found sort of a way around it, in the sense of there's sort of almost placeholder assets, but I think I made the distinction between those assets work quite well, which you'll see once I actually get to that part. But yeah, I stuck to the sort of curved staircase designs that feature quite prominently in castles. From what I remember, the circular designs of the staircases within castles were put in place to make it so that defenders couldn't fight easily coming up, but the attackers couldn't fight easily going up into a castle to get to the higher floors, but defenders could fight easier. Now, I'm not actually sure if I put the staircases the right way around to ensure that factor, but they're there to sort of have the idea of how it would work anyway. So hopefully it works as intended for the sort of medieval age anyway. But yeah, as I mentioned, that main hall building area is the highest floor within the keep. And the next floor up to that, which I've just finished laying down the flooring for, is the crew quarters. No, that's wrong. That's a ship. Like the guards' quarters and the servants. The sort of, I don't want to say peasants, but the lower folk within the castle, I suppose. The basically what are the servants and the guards and everything to the king or queen of the castle. Now that floor itself is, I think, the smallest floor in terms of like how high it goes up. I wasn't actually sure how high to build it. Originally I was thinking about just keeping them all at the same height, like the Great Hall area, but I realised that that doesn't really work within the sort of thing I've set up, so I decided to make it sort of almost the bare minimum size, so that they could in theory have windows on that floor, which I haven't actually put in the final design. But as you can see, the window height was sort of what I went to, so I could put extra slits in there, and I might do 4 guards to be stood in those windows, just to add an extra layer of defense. I don't think zombies are ever actually going to get to the front of the castle, like through that drawbridge bit anyway, because they have to get through the entire town to reach there. But it sort of looks more impressive and imposing, and that idea sort of is a theme that I wanted to continue throughout the castle, so it's probably something I'm going to add in at a later date anyway. But yeah, that floor is the smallest floor, height-wise, simply because it is the sort of the lower class, and it sort of works quite well having it situated like that. The positioning of this floor within the main keep building also means that any sort of invasion force, if it made it through the town and into the castle, would then have to go through the guards and servants' main quarters before reaching any sort of royalty situated above them on the 3rd floor within the castle, which I haven't got around to building quite yet in the video. At this point in the video, I have actually just come back down to the main keep, the main hall building, main hall floor within the castle. This is mainly because I wanted to actually get this room done and laid out, because I wanted the area with the throne and the royalty would sit, the sort of, you know, the family of the castle would sit on this raised platform area, which you can see is situated at the sort of back end of the hall. So they have, obviously, their status shown through not just the size of the castle and their position within the castle, but even in the main hall, they're situated above everyone else within the castle, visiting families, servants, guards, whoever it may be that's eating in the hall with them, is on a lower level to the royalty that's there. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there isn't actually detailed props or anything really in the game yet, and I don't know if they're actually planning on adding those sort of things in. They're more decorative things, so I'm not sure if they'd add them, because the game currently is very much about actually having everything there functioning, which is an understandable thing to focus on first off within game development. But as you can see, this is the sort of placeholder asset style thing that I was going with, that I laid out there on the ground floor. Now what I actually did there was I laid out tables with, I believe, the cherry planks, some of the newer stuff they added in one of the recent updates, which stand out a lot more from the floor, but obviously stand out again from the entranceway, which are using the older coated planks. And then I used the black wood, the other type they added in recently, for chairs and stuff, which are located around the room as well. I used sort of smaller ones in the floor as seating for guests and other visiting housemates and things like that, and then having the actual family's chairs situated at the back and being much more embossed and larger than the seating situated around the rest of the room. Now I kind of flew over it quite quickly in the video, and I'm now building up the royalties bedchamber area, which is kind of just one big triple bed thing currently, with this frame around it, the sort of old style gigantic bed frame things. But the servants' floor that I sort of flew through quite quickly, I laid out the bedding in there, and I wanted it to sort of almost fill the room with beds, but I didn't want to just do rows of continuous beds because I thought it'd look really weird. So I decided to space them out, having the space between them being just 2 blocks, like a normal, a space that another bed could fit in, essentially. But it allowed me to have the maximum amount of beds in that room without just having massive long beds across the entire thing. But obviously I didn't follow that rule when building the royalties bed chamber, because I wanted that to be a lot bigger, and obviously once again sort of show their status, even though the people reaching that floor within the castle should only really be the royalty itself, and then sort of like handmaidens and stuff. So that's kind of more just they can afford to have the luxury of having that sort of gigantic bed thing. Now the rest of the royalties room, I wasn't really sure what to put in it. Currently I might put in a few different crafting stations and things like that to sort of fill out the room and look almost like bedside cabinets and dressers and things like that. The things that you commonly have in a sort of bedroom, but obviously this would be a royal bedroom, so hopefully things can look a little fancy at the very least. I'm not really sure what crafting stations to put in there, if to put any, or how else to really decorate that room. But as I mentioned earlier, I only planned out 3 floors for the castle, but I did have an idea of how I wanted to build up the roof segment of the castle. Now, for this I wanted to sort of combine the already in place wall designs with the crenellations that sort of pop out from the building themselves, but also with a sort of more traditional roof style thing that you guys might have seen in other games, such as Minecraft or any other voxel based thing, basically. But the almost standard V-shaped roof, the upside down V type thing, that, but with it sort of extending slightly out from the building itself, is just the usual way to sort of emboss it and make it look a little more shapely and add some sort of design to it and some detail. But I also combine these roofs directly into the guard tower type things on the top themselves. Now these guard towers aren't actually guard towers, it's more sort of the royalty could come up here and sort of look down over their kingdom, or, you know, they could show off to their guests or whatever. It's, once again, sort of a status symbol style thing. When I was actually building these, I wasn't really sure how to put the sort of way up to them. Now, I can't actually remember whether I built a way up to them. I do believe I did, but it's been a little bit since I built these, because I'm recording this in post, as mentioned earlier. This is present day me and not past me, which is the one who built all of this stuff. But I used the, I believe, cherry planks for the roof. I think it's cherry. Like I said, the details do slightly elude me, but you guys will probably be able to identify which planks it is if you guys want to copy that design in any fashion whatsoever. I decided not to add the extension crenellations to the bottom of these towers for a while at least. I'm not sure if I'll go back and do it or not, because much the same as the internal crenellations, this section is sort of more for the royalty and therefore should look nicer and less brutalist like the outside does with the sort of gripping crenellations. So it depends on how visible these towers are from outside the castle, and once I've sort of compared that and figured it out, then I might go back and modify them, adding in the grips or not having the grips at all. But this room itself, the one that's sort of the roof, the attic, I guess, to the keep, I wasn't really sure what to put in it other than windows. Like, it's kind of an empty room. I guess most attics kind of are, so it kind of fits for that. I guess I could put storage boxes and stuff up there. If you guys have any suggestions for what to put up there, then feel free to let me know and I might go back and add them in, because I do still have the detailing to do from around the castle. I have the, obviously the keep gardens to do, and then also I may add in a sort of cooking station, like a kitchen underneath the castle as is, and add that bit into the staircase. I am also considering adding an underground farm to the castle, so that the castle itself is self-sustaining. Like, it could, in theory, close off the drawbridge and survive a siege, if that makes sense. Like, they have this underground farm that feeds them, because there is a lake directly underneath most of the castle, as you guys probably know. I just built the thing straight up and put the floor in. Like, there's just a lake underneath. So there's plenty of water, I guess. I could do a lot of different things with that. If you guys have any other ideas other than an underground farm, then once again, feel free to let me know and I might take those ideas instead, although I do kind of like the idea of an underground farm and a kitchen down there. I think that'd be quite cool. But yeah, as you can see, I'm just building in the little balcony sections so they can look out over their kingdoms without going up the towers as well. And then adding in little lighting features just to sort of finish everything off throughout the entire castle. But I'm pretty happy with how the main keep building has turned out so far. And I just need to add a couple little decorations to the outside of the castle, and I think we're getting close to being done. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.